My dad's brother had a lake house way far north near the Canada border. He was also an amateur astronomer and would wake us up at like 3 a.m. to look at Saturn's rings and stuff through the telescope. Very cool. One night when I was about 15, it was hot and I couldn't get back to sleep, so I went out and sat on the dock. It was very dark, no moon, but zillions of stars, aurora borealis too. I was trailing my hand through the water when something grabbed it. It wasn't a fish nibbling on my fingers or anything, it was an actual hand wrapped around my hand. I yanked back before it could get a good grip, and I felt the fingers slide across my hand back into the water. And then I sat frozen, too scared to move, listening to weird sounds from under the dock. I finally crawled back down the dock to dry land. I'd been swimming in that lake thousands of times, including at night, and never felt threatened or like I was unsafe. No idea what that was about. One night, I was outside walking my dog. All of a sudden, she began freaking out, running in circles and biting at the air. It freaked me out a little, so I rushed her inside, and as soon as I shut the door, I heard banging coming from my parents' bedroom windows. I immediately opened the front door and ran back outside with my dog in tow, only to find nothing. At the window where the banging had been coming from, the weirdest part is earlier in that same day, my mother had told one of my dad's friends that if he ever came by and noon answered the door. But it looked like someone was home to knock on their bedroom window instead. Honest to God, that was such a bizarre occurrence. It couldn't have been anything natural, because my dog couldn't even pick up a scent, and she seemed as dumbfounded as I was. I had awesome parents who let me sleep in the living room on weekend nights. When I was very young, because my sister was a light sleeper, and I could stay up until dawn. But of course, I always end up sleeping on the couch, because Nick at night made me tried. So one night, I wake up to the prickly feeling like an instinct, just bolted into a sitting position and stared out the front window. We lived in rural Georgia, so you can imagine the magnitude of trees. In perfect light cast from the moon, I see a silhouette of someone in this fucking tree. The family dog dashes to the window and is snarling into the glass. Terrified, I run into my parents' room and try to explain to my parents that there is a strange person outside. Dad grabs something defensive and darts outside, with the dogs to beat the wax off the hot head. I tremble in Mama's arms until Dad comes home and says he saw no one and to go to bed. I decide to sleep in my regular bedroom. I fill in my sister in as to what happened. Dad is making regular rounds in the house with a cup of coffee. We're all still, and I finally think I can sleep. Nope, I notice the man outside my window from what I can see in the moonlight. He gives me a shush signal and runs away. Just turns around to run a straight line away. I swear I couldn't stop crying for what felt like hours. Recently, I got caught by a ghost, and that power was little unbelievable. I mean, I had a Spax before, but when he was inside me, I see little blur with the Spax I ignored that time. Thought maybe my number increases, but whenever I remove my Spax, I see all clearly. I am damn sure it was something that was very cruel and bad. One thing I felt of that ghost power: if he says something, you will not do that, he will torture you. He will give you pain, and he was getting strong at night. I mean, he caught me 2 or 3 months before, but he was getting me slowly. It's like sleepwalking. You are active, but you get controlled by something. And when he was fully active inside me, then my family members was master on that. They caught it and done little jadfuk on me. And last he leaves me, when he leaves me, I was vomiting so badly. My pancreas was paining after he leaves me. I got blood pressure issue, headache issue, and weakness, but when he was inside me, I felt that raw power was something else. We all need a ghost. I've always been obsessed with old stories, the kind that are whispered at night and never written down. Being a teen author, I thought it would be poetic to return to my roots, to my father's village, and collect the forgotten tales buried there. But my father, he never approved of it. He used to say some stories are better left untold. As a kid, I was allowed there only during festivals, and even then, I wasn't allowed to wander near the old pond or my grandmother's abandoned hut. They said my grandmother was a healer once, others said she was something else. Some villagers still call her Dayani Ma, the witch who could talk to shadows. My father hated when anyone mentioned her. When I finally went back last month, things didn't feel right. The air was thick, heavier than I remembered. Every night, I'd hear the same tapping sound on my window, like knuckles brushing against the glass. One night I opened it and found nothing but the faint scent of burnt incense and wet soil. The next morning, one of the elders looked at me strangely and said, "You look just like her when she came back." Since that day, my phone stopped recording properly. Some of the audio I captured has whispers, in a voice that sounds eerily like my grandmother's. I came here to collect stories for my book The Night Speaks, Folklore from Rural India. But I think some stories are now collecting me.